Okay, good evening, friends. We're continuing in Sefer Devorah. We're up to the seventh Middah. The seventh Middah. So our weekly recap of the Middos of Rabbi Meir of the Devorah, the Ramak of Moshe Cordovero, who begins that a person, it's appropriate to be comparable to the Creator, and in his pe'ulais, not only in the way his body is. The first midah Mikel Kamaycho is the supernatural patience of Hashem, that Hashem endows us with life force and we use it against Him, and Hashem tolerates that. Not only does He tolerate that, Noisei Avain, He bears the sin, meaning He feeds the monster that we create with our Averos. V'oiver al pesha, Hashem Himself cleans the mess that we make. L'sheris nachalasai, Hashem treats us like flesh and blood. He feels our pain. So too, just like Hashem considers us part of Him, we should consider each Jew a part of us. Even lahechsek la'arapai, the fifth midah, even when it's appropriate that Hashem continue to get angry, at a certain point Hashem says, even though there's no reason for me to lessen the anger or stop the anger, I'll do it anyway. Ki chafetz chesed hu, even if a person just has one redeeming quality that he does chesed, Hashem will hone in on that, and that's what Hashem sees. He doesn't, so to speak, see the bad. We're up to the seventh midah. The seventh midah is Hashvius Yashuv Yerachamenu. No, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just testing it. The seventh midah is Yashuv Yerachamenu. That when Hashem takes us back and we do tshuva, He brings us back even to a higher level than we started. That's B'makam Shabalei Tshuva Imdim Ein Tzadikim Gemor Michaylam Lamayid. Hashem brings us back to even greater level than had we not sinned to begin with. We're up to this week, like we, of course, the eighth midah, Yichbosh Avonoseinu. Hashem squelches the sin. And this is a very appropriate topic for this week's parsha. Parshas Eikev. Because the parsha begins, V'haya Eikev Tishma. So far, like almost every week, we've been able to tie it into the parsha. This way, people are interested, they want to hear what we're talking about. V'haya Eikev Tishma. It says, and it will be, Rashi says, Eikev, if you observe the mitzvahs that people trample on, this will be the reward. Or the Targum says on the word Eikev, chalaf, reward. So that implies that you get rewarded for mitzvahs. Do you get rewarded for mitzvahs in this world? If a person does a mitzvah, if you wear tefillin, if you come to the Devorah share, are you going to get rewarded in this world? Or is there no reward in this world? The Gemara in Eruvin says, Schara b'haya maleka, there's no reward in this world. So what does the pasuk mean? V'haya eikev tishman, and here's the reward if you listen to the mitzvahs. The bigger problem is, does anybody know the last pasuk in Va'aschanan, right before the pasuk says V'haya eikev tishman, that you're going to get reward for the mitzvahs? The last pasuk is Hayom la'asoisam, which the Gemara darshans. Today you do the mitzvahs, ulamachar lekabel scharam, and tomorrow you can get reward. So the last pasuk of last week's parsha says you ain't getting paid back in this world, and the first pasuk in this week's parsha says, by the way, the reward for the mitzvahs will be. So that's a very important topic. Do you get reward for mitzvahs in this world? And the Gemara says no. Schar b'haya maleka. So what does it mean? Eikev tishma'un. So the Chida and others say, even though you're not going to get a reward for mitzvahs in this world, whatever, that's the divine command itself. That's the mitzvah itself, without any additions from man. But whatever additions man puts in, for example, if you do the mitzvah bizrizos, so that's your input, or if you do the mitzvah with simcha, that's your input, that you could be rewarded for this world. So let's explain that. Why, for the basic mitzvah, do you not get paid back in this world? You only get paid back for human input. This is a very important idea. And this is what the Ramak is going to discuss today. And that is, what is the mitzvah? The mitzvah is the word of Hashem. What is the word of Hashem? What is Hashem? Hashem is infinite. So His word is infinite. and therefore his reward is infinite. And therefore there cannot be reward. What's he going to give you, a hot dog? Oh, you did the mitzvah, here's a hot dog with mustard. That's you jumped me out. I did an infinite act. I did a divine command. So I need to be rewarded on your currency, which is infinite. What do you want him to give you? A Tesla? What exactly? That you're getting gypped out of reward. You did an infinite activity. You need to. The only thing he could give you is infinity. Olam haba, the eternal world. What's he gonna give you? $1 million? What are you gonna do with it? I know you could think of a thing or two to do with it, but at the end of the day, you're being gypped out. It's like, let's say, like, I don't know. You work today? I'm gonna pick on you.
Sure.
How many hours you put in? Couple hours. Let's say I give you a freeze pop. Is that gonna cut it? Flavor? Orange?
Yeah.
Okay. A Winky, is that gonna do it?
No.
That's not gonna do it.
No, but a Pez.
Let's say at the end of the week you got a Winky. It's like, that's not gonna cut it. No? Let's say you got a pretzel. At the end of the week, yeah. There cannot be reward in this world. The currency doesn't fit the act, because the act was infinite. You fulfilled a divine command. How could you be rewarded anything less than eternity? However, human input, zrizos, simcha, that's your human input that you're rewarded for in this world. So the way you read the psukim is, Hayoim la'asoisam. In this world, you do the mitzvahs, you don't get rewarded. But v'haya, Chazal always say, ein v'haya ela simcha. V'haya, for the simcha you put in to do a mitzvah, Eikev tishman, that you could be rewarded for. Okay? Now we're going to get another explanation for why you can't be rewarded for mitzvahs in this world. The first explanation we gave, because as a mitzvah is the divine command, and therefore it's eternal, the reward has to be eternal. We're going to see, by the way, on the other hand, you could get punished for averos in this world. Why? There's a very interesting teaching in Eicha. In Eicha it says, Mi pi el yoin loiseitze harayis v'hatayif. Remember that pasuk? From the one above, it will not emanate the evils and the good. Got it? Ra'is, evils, plural, v'hatayv, and good. What does that mean? There are two types of goodness, and there are two types of evils. One type of goodness is mitzvos, and the other type is reward. There are two types of bad, averos and punishment. Now, does God do averos? When we sin, is it Hashem making us sin? No, we have free choice. Fine. And when we do an avera and we get punished, is Hashem punishing us? No, God doesn't punish. God, there's no such thing as Hashem never brings punishment. The avera itself punishes. There's an idea that Nesivos brings in his parish on Eicha, so we could find it, that when a person does an avera, the avera is now, it creates a monster, and the monster punishes you. God does not punish, because God, no evil emanates from God. If you were to put on your God glasses, they're special kind of glasses, you could get them, I can't say where, and you put them on, if you would look at Hashem, coming from Hashem is only shefa, toiva, ubracha. Nothing evil comes from Hashem. So what do you mean? But there's evil in this world. Yeah, because man made it. Man does an avera, which man could do an avera. God doesn't do averos, and that avera creates a mashchis that creates punishment. I want to read to you the words of the Nesivos in his parish on Eicha. We're in the 8th Middah. Let's see if we can find this. Yeah. Rak hara ba ala adam ha'avain atzma yoisa. The evil, the sin itself does. Because by doing an avera, you create an angel, a mashchis, that causes damage. So mi pi el yoin loiseitse hara'is. Ra'is, plural, not the avera, and not the punishment. And it also doesn't emanate from Hashem hatoiv, singular. What's the singular? The mitzvahs. He doesn't do the mitzvahs, but he does give the reward. And since he gives the reward, it has to be his currency, which is eternal. But punishment is not from him. Punishment is from us. So we created the sin. We create the punishment. So the punishment will be in this world. Okay, but now we're going to learn another reason why there's no reward in this world. And we're going to give a very important mashal. See, when I was a kid, let me explain to you how the Shabbos meal went. So after you sang Shalom Aleichem and Eishes Chayil, and you made Kiddush, and you washed, then gefilte fish was brought to the table. And that's it. Maybe a little chrein. And maybe a little fish juice. I don't know if you remember this before you were born. Fish juice. You know fish juice? You cook the gefilte fish in that water. That's the dip. There's no dip that you go to the store for $7.99 for like a little thing, which is mayonnaise with like a little coloring in it. There's no such thing as dips. They didn't invent dips. This is before George Washington, before Benjamin Franklin, before electricity. They didn't have dips on Friday night. But nowadays, in Avonoseinu harabim, no, I happen to like dips. And I could give you... They have dips. It's a whole thing. Fish, and you have... Now, with so many dips, what are you going to put in the dip? So the answer is challah. It's not good enough anymore. Now you have to have pet challah. What's pet challah? Sourdough. They invented sourdough challah, where you spend the whole month petting it, making nice to it, watering it, talking to it, giving it therapy. And then now, when they bring out all the dips, you have something to dip it in. Okay, fine. What does that have to do with anything? It's very relevant. You know, if you don't know how to control your sourdough, it could rise, it could rise, it could rise. It could go ad l'rakia, you know. So let's talk about a mitzvah. Look in the Middah Hashminas. Yichbosh Avonoseinu. Harei HaKadosh Baruch Hu misnaig im Yisrael b'midah zu. Hashem accords himself with the Jewish people with this midah. V'hi soid kvishas ha'avayin. This is the secret and the essence of squelching sin. Ki hine ha-mitzvah hi kichvayrachas olsa nitza. A mitzvah is like a flower that's blossoming and rising up in its petals. You know these. Sometimes they have like time lapse, where even though you would have to sit there for about 1,000,000 years until you see how the tree grows. But if they have this, what is it called? Time lapse. They have this setting on the camera where all of a sudden you see the tree sprouting up. Really, it took 30 years, but because the camera was parked there for 30 years. Fine. If you would see a mitzvah, you don't need time lapse. You put on tefillin, it rises, it blossoms, it blossoms, it blossoms. It goes all the way up to the Rakiah, up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every mitzvah you do, it's rising. Look at this. Uvaikaas. It like cracks through all the worlds. Va'oila, and it goes up ad ein tachlis, to no end. Lihikanes lefanav Yisbarach, to enter before Hashem Yisbarach. It's constantly rising. It's cracking through the heavens. It cracks through all the barriers. It just grows and grows and grows. Why? First of all, because it's a fulfillment of a divine command, and a divine command is infinite, and therefore the mitzvah has no boundaries. It just explodes higher and higher and higher. What about an avera? No, avera doesn't go anywhere. Hashem said, I don't want it here. Get lost. So Hashem takes. Do you ever see they have these? They have this product that if something catches on fire. So it used to be back in my time. You had fire extinguishers. Everyone had a fire extinguisher, even though nobody knows where exactly it is. Nobody ever knows where cabinet it's in. Then when you open it up, you can't even. But now there's a new product. The product is like this towel. You know about this? You just throw it over the fire and it squelches the fire. You learned something in this year, right? when it comes to an avera, the averas don't rise up, chas v'shalom. Ela koiv sham, Hashem squelches it, shalo yikansu, so it doesn't enter. It's like Hashem takes the avera, he takes like a pot cover, and he covers it, and the avera is trying to break through it. No, just stay there. Don't go anywhere. Hashem squelches it. You know why Hashem doesn't let it rise up? Because He doesn't want to see it. He doesn't like it. Kidachsiv, like it says in Tehillim, Lo yigurcha ra. It does not dwell with you evil. Or Lo yagur b'magurcha ra. It does not, the Gemara in Shabbos Darshans, does not dwell in your neighborhood any evil. Im kain, if so, einho avay nichnas penima. The avera does not enter in the realm of Hashem. That's the reason why there's no reward in this world. You know why there's no reward in this world? Because the mitzvah is not in this world. The mitzvah was a rocket ship. It's standing in front of Hashem in His world. So what He's going to do? The mitzvah is all the way upstairs. So Hashem's going to say, okay, let me send down the reward. The mitzvah is not in this world. It's upstairs. Look at these words. Mibnei shehim lefanav yisbarach. The mitzvahs are before God. Veheich yitein loi mimashel lefanav. How could Hashem give to you from what is in front of Him? So, in other words, Hashem is now seeing the mitzvah in His world. So Hashem, what's He going to say? He's going to say, let me give you some of this spiritual reward. Where? He's going to send it down to this physical world? No, there's no way to receive spiritual reward in this physical world. So you say, why not? Why can't Hashem give us some of that oineg ruchani in this world? The answer is, if you would put together all the pizza in the world, if you take the best slice from Bravo's, it's not going to mean anything. He says, the whole world is not worthy to pay back even one mitzvah, for the good pleasure that Hashem has available. Hashem has so much reward in store that there's nothing in this. Hashem could give you a Porsche, a Lamborghini, a Tesla, the nicest house in the 5 towns, and it doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what the possibilities are for reward for one mitzvah. Because the mitzvah is up there. So the mitzvah is up there, He has to give you that currency. Yeah, but in this world, they don't have this currency. Like, you go to South Africa. So here in America, $100 is worth $100. There, 100, rand, is worth like 3 cents. Right? So imagine, if you want a good job, you can make 100,000 a year. 100,000 what? 100,000 grains of salt. So what's that going to do for you? So if you do a mitzvah, you want to get paid back in this world. This world is like South Africa, Sorry, my South African friends there, but.
So when we say in Devorah, the things that you get paid for.
So now, what does it mean in Devorah? So first of all, that's payros. That's like sidekicks. That's like perks. That's not the reward. It's not the Karen. Yeah, in this world you get health insurance and bonuses and raises. No, I mean that as a mashal. Whatever success we have in this world is not the reward. It's only the payros of the mitzvahs. Okay. Now, for this reason, Chazal say God does not take bribery of mitzvahs, which means like this. Let's say a guy did 100 mitzvahs and 5 averos. So we would say, great. Let's call it a day at 95. Rebbe Hashem, take 5 my mitzvahs, cancel out the 5 averos, and I'm a tzaddik gomer, and I'll be 95 to 0. I don't want to be 105. We would say it's worth it, to go scot-free, not to have to deal with the averos. No, bad move. It's not. That's why for this reason, Hashem does not take a bribe of a mitzvah. Hamashal is that the analogy is like this. God doesn't say asa arba mitzvahs. The guy did 40 mitzvahs, be'esar averos, and 10 sins. So let's call it a day at 30. Nisharu shloisha mitzvahs. He's left with 30 mitzvahs. B'yelchu eser be'esar, and let 10 cancel out with 10. we would have thought it's a good move for us. It's a bad move because the currency of punishment is lower than the currency of reward. See, the currency of reward is so much greater than the currency of punishment. Now, this is a very big and important chiddush. Rav Itzl Petterberg points out that even if the currency, in other words, currency of reward is infinite, the currency of punishment is finite. But see, the human nature is that to avoid pain, people are willing to pay a lot of money. In other words, somebody's suffering terribly, they would pay millions of dollars not to suffer. So maybe it's still worth it, even if the currency of reward is so much greater than the currency of punishment. Maybe it's still better to start canceling out mitzvos for averos. No, the currency of reward is so infinitely greater that nobody would ever make that deal. It's not worth it. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, if somebody could avoid terrible pain, they might give up a lot of good. It's almost impossible to fathom how much good could there be, how good could it really be that it's not worth minimizing the good to cancel out the bad. We don't even have the faculty, we don't even have the ability to assess or to imagine or to fathom how good it could be. But even a completely righteous person who did one sin, it is like to Hashem as if this person burnt the Torah, meaning it is irrelevant how many mitzvahs they did. A mitzvah of someone who did mitzvahs their whole life and slipped up and only did one avera, we're not going to use his mitzvahs to protect him from being accountable for sin, because it's not worth it for him. Ad sheyiratze choyvai. He has to atone for his guilt. And then he could receive reward for all his mitzvahs. By the way, from here we see that until a person gains atonement, so to speak, his reward is pending. That you need to be able to, so to speak, receive justice for even a small sin, and then you could get reward for all your mitzvahs. Now, it sounds harsh, it sounds severe, but it's really the chesed of Hashem, because Hashem does not want to minimize such great reward. V'zeh chesed gadol she'osa HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzadikim. This is a great kindness that Hashem does to the righteous. She'enoi menake. Hashem does not deduct mitzvahs to repay for averos. The mitzvahs are very significant. Umisalois, and they rise up ad lefanav yisbarach, up before Hashem. So what's Hashem gonna do? He's gonna start canceling out 107 mitzvahs, 43 averos. So let's call it a day at 60. No, the mitzvah is so much more valuable because it rises up before him. The how could you deduct because of averos? Kischarhu avera. Think about it. The payment for a sin, hu mechelak hagehenom mehanivzeh. That is from the lowly section of Gehenna. But v'hamitzvah scharan me'anichbad. The mitzvahs, the reward comes from the honorable eternity. Ziv hashchina, the splendor of the shchina. Heich yenake elu neged elu. How would you be able to deduct El HaKadosh Baruch Hu goy v'choy? What Hashem does is He pays back for the sin, ha'averos, umaskir schar kol mitzvahs, and then He repays all the mitzvahs. Basically, you know what this is called? Yichbosh Avonoseinu, where Hashem takes sin and He squelches. So in other words, mitzvahs, they rise up like Jack and the Beanstalk. And Averos, Hashem is always like, putting the pot cover on it, putting it to bed, keeping it down, not letting it rise. So we'll develop this more next week. But the bottom line is, in terms of how we look at other people, is if, let's say, a guy, he did some good things to us and some bad things to us. How do we look at them? He's on my good list, he's on my bad list, and he's like, my mediocre list. I don't know. he's quasi. No, the good things that he did should loom large, and the bad things we put out of our mind.
Is that not similar to Eivra Pesha?
It's similar to Ki Chafetz Chesed, right? Chafetz Chesed is Hashem identifies. If let's say a person did many wrong things and he did Chesed, Hashem said, "Oh, he did Chesed," or we said, or even if he did one good thing, Hashem.
Yeah.
You see, Ki Chafetz Chesed, in a certain sense, is specific for Chesed. Hashem, so to speak, has eyes for Chesed, and then we pointed out, or anything good. But now, not only is, you see, Ki Chafetz Chesed is, this person has a repertoire of many things they did, good and bad. It's not just Hashem has eyes only for the good, and he, so to speak, is not focused on the bad. Here, Hashem actively is downplaying the bad. So it's very similar, but it's slightly different in that it's not that Hashem is just focused on the good and not focused on the bad. Not only is he not focused on the bad, he's squelching the bad so it doesn't even rise up in front of him, while the good is exploding in front of him.
So what do you need the other Middah for? This is just a better, more active version.
Why do you need the Middah of Yichbosh Avonoseinu? You see, look, if Ki Chafetz Chesed is specific to Chesed, then we need this for other good deeds. Okay, good question. We'll try to think about that over until next time. Have a good Shabbos, everyone. Shkaya, Kol Tov.